North Vietnam and Laos were beautiful from the air, kind of like Shangri-La. Not having flown in combat before, the first few missions were a little bit like going to Disneyland. That initial stage of wonder lasts for probably 5 or 6 missions until you start getting shot at. You begin to move from a mood of wonder. That's when you experience fear.
This is Colonel Vi. He is their first MiG ace of the Vietnam War right here. 7 kills. So these guys are historic.
Thì tôi lần trước phi công Mỹ sang bên tôi thì cái suy nghĩ tôi nó khác hơn bây giờ. Là vì bây giờ đó cái điều mong muốn chúng tôi là bản thân tôi á là tôi nghe được nước Mỹ giàu. Tính sâu xa, tôi nói sâu xa thì mình vào quân đội người ta giáo dục mình rồi. Cái giai cấp căm thù rối quốc phong kiến gì đó thì người ta đã giáo dục mình rồi.
I went to pilot training at Lubbock, Texas, Reese Air Force Base that lasts about 54 weeks. Then you graduate from pilot training. If you get the fighter, then you go into gunnery school. Then you're assigned to an operational squadron. Then it's a matter of becoming combat ready in whatever your mission is.
I didn't fear because I was well trained and I had made sure that I was well trained.
Lúc đó Việt Nam chưa có trường đào tạo phi công, phải nhờ thì Trung Quốc. Cấp trên cũng đã nói rồi, các đồng chí nhiệm vụ các đồng chí là đi học để về bảo vệ đất nước, bảo vệ bầu trời của mình.
Thực ra thì khi bước vào chiến đấu giai đoạn đầu tiên ấy, thì chúng tôi được đào tạo thì cái giờ bay cũng không phải là cao lắm. Kinh nghiệm chiến đấu tôi cũng cảm thấy bản thân những người chỉ huy đưa chúng tôi lên trời, cũng như chúng tôi bước vào trận đánh thì chúng tôi cảm thấy là mình có cái lòng tin là mình có thể chiến đấu và có thể giành được chiến thắng. Những ngày mà đi trực ban chiến đấu đánh nhau xong chiều về lại tranh thủ luyện tập, tức là khi phát hiện ra phía không quân hoặc hải quân của Hoa Kỳ có cái chiến thuật gì mới thì lập tức chúng tôi đã tập lại ngay để ứng phó với cái chiến thuật ấy. Cho nên là cái khả năng ứng phó về mặt chiến thuật của chúng tôi là cũng khá là nhạy, khá là nhanh. Và nó cũng thuận lợi hơn bởi vì phía không quân và hải quân Hoa Kỳ thì lực lượng rất là đông. Các cái thông tin ấy truyền tải đến phi công là rất lâu, mất thời gian.
Our second day at North Vietnam, the only person in the squadron had previous combat experience was the commanding officer. He'd flown in Korea. He didn't come back. Everybody was scared, and it kind of rippled through the squadron. And by the end of that deployment, I had over 100 missions and all. We get a turnaround back home, and we changed out air crews, and went back. 4 months later, I was back over there again. And I just decided, I'm not going to be scared anymore. I'm going to be the meanest son of a bee in the valley, and I'm just going to take them on and not worry about it. And I slept better at night. I actually got a whole lot better because I could see more on the ground because I wasn't so scared.
2 mục tiêu phía trước thì tôi nhìn thấy 2 mục tiêu phải chăm chú tôi bảo vệ cho đội trưởng. Thì khi mà bắt đầu là mới cánh đuổi theo thì một F4 phía sau phóng tôi quả tên lửa và nó nổ cách vai tôi khoảng chừng 5 mét. Cái cánh bên phải lủng một lỗ to bằng 2 bàn tay, còn phía trước thì lủng một lỗ. Máy bay tôi nó khó điều khiển thì nó lật. Nhưng mà lúc đó tôi thấy F4 vượt qua, tôi định quay lại để mà công kích nhưng mà không được. Thành ra tôi phải hạ độ cao, tôi xin phép bay về. Rồi bay về đến nhà, mày bay về được là mày giỏi thiệt. Thành ra một lần đầu tiên tôi phát hiện mục tiêu nhưng mà mình chưa đánh được mục tiêu nó đã phóng mình bị thương rồi.
There was a time when anytime I would cross the Red River, my mouth would dry up, I'd get cotton mouth, my knees would shake, and I had to calm myself. That lasted for probably from about the 10th mission to about the 20th mission. And then you begin to transition from the hunted to where you become the hunter. recognizing that you could be killed, but also recognizing that it's your job to kill.
On May 21st, Jimmy Lang comes with me, and we go on the San Juan strike. I've got this warbler going off, I've got a Sam chasing me, and we're down to 200 feet in the flat areas just west of Illinois. I don't know where the Sam is. And all of a sudden I get hit by ground fire. At first I said, I think I'm okay, and then got hit again. I said, I know we're not okay. I had a big hole in the side of my airplane that I didn't know if fuel was coming out. One of the guys comes up alongside and he says, hey, shut down your port engine, you're completely on fire. So I shut the engine down, fire went out, I relit the engine and stayed out of burner. But now things are happening. Missiles are falling off the airplane. The mountains are coming up, and we ended up over the mountains about 800 feet. Jimmy's in the back seat with me, and we have no intercom. He's looking at my mirror. I'm looking at him, and I said, I yell, it's time to go. Out he goes, and out I go. I landed on top of a jungle tree, and I just kind of penetrated head first and just came to a halt. This is on the border of North Vietnam and Laos. The Navy helicopter from the sea that has no armament underneath it. He hears what's going on, and they flew all the way across North Vietnam. They got shot up crossing near Thanh Hoa. The co-pilot got wounded. They actually got to me, but their hydraulics were shot and they couldn't lower the hoist. So they got vectored to a clear area in Laos to put the helo down. And then the Jolly Green helicopters the Air Force has came in and picked me up, and then we went and picked up my backseater, Jimmy, who his arm got out in the slipstream going that fast and it broke it in two places. Boom, like that. Anyway, we all ended up in Thailand. Jimmy went into a hospital in Bangkok, and I went to the bar. That's my shoot-down story.
I was able to recognize the aircraft as a MiG-21. We were under radar control, and we could tell that his controllers were telling him, do not turn. There's a cloud bank just ahead of you. Dive into the cloud bank. So before I could actually close enough to launch a missile, guess what happened? He dove into the clouds and got away. I was not able to shoot because we had a rule that says you've got to have a visual identification. You have to be 100% certain, and I needed this target to turn ever so slightly to the left or right. I would have been able to say, I've got the full profile, I would have been able to fire. 3 days later, I got called over to intelligence, and I was advised that I had indeed been chasing their top pilot. I have his name in my book. I found out this day that he's still living. He didn't come to this trip. I've been looking to make contact with him for 45 years to tell him that just because of discipline, and I've never been able to meet that level of discipline again, ever in my life, but because I didn't, the man lives today. I'm sitting here telling the story.
Đã nói hôm nay mà phi công của Mỹ tổ chức mời chúng tôi sang là cái điều chúng tôi cảm thấy rất vinh dự. Tôi nói chắc là đây là lần cuối cùng, chứ không có lần thứ hai nữa. Vì tuổi tôi hôm nay khá lớn rồi, năm 82 tuổi rồi, thành ra giờ đó, cái điều kiện hôm nay là đối với bản thân tôi hết sức rất vinh dự, mà cũng phải cảm ơn các phi công Mỹ tổ chức cái buổi gặp mặt hôm nay.
Vậy là cái mục đích của những cuộc gặp như thế này ấy, là làm sao để mà chúng ta khép lại quá khứ cùng với nhân dân hai nước xây dựng cái mối quan hệ giữa Việt Nam Hoa Kỳ ngày càng phát triển.
I think it's useful and healthy to meet with what were enemy pilots. They tried to kill us, we tried to kill them, but we're not enemies anymore. I feel privileged to be a part of it. It's kind of funny to watch him talk, too, because there's an old saying that if he tied a fighter pilot's hands behind his back, he couldn't talk. I've watched the Vietnamese, and they're the same way. We talk with we're animated, we talk with our hands. And we can't talk without our hands.
Looking at these men in here, the older ones like myself, and knowing that we were boys when we flew, we were young, and then meeting these men and some who brought their families, and realize that today, 45 years later, there is no anger, there's no rancor, there's not any them or us, or you're the enemy and we're not. There is this common thread that binds all aviators universally, The thing that binds us as aviators is that there's this special thing that comes from within. Each has served his country. We answered the clarion call for duty, honor, and country in America. They did the same thing in their country. And so the day we meet, we talk, we look at each other, we shake hands, and we have this sense of togetherness and closure and a bond that supersedes anything that you could prescribe. There's a spirit of love that comes from recognizing another aviator from across the ocean that loved flying, loved his country as much as I love flying, as much as I love my country. Where you bring that together is beyond a description, and it is, in fact, inexplicable.